The painting that I chose to tell you about in my analysis is The Sun by Edvard Munch. It was painted in 1910 or 1911, they're not sure. He was commissioned to paint, to cover the inside of the University of Oslo's new ceremonial hall. They call it the Aula. He was commissioned to cover that with huge murals. And so he created several hundred preparatory drawings and paintings. And as he worked toward that, many different versions of the sun exist. So like if you look his name up and look for the sun painting, there's a number of them. The one I chose to talk about is currently housed in the Munch Museum in Oslo, Norway, and it is a smaller version, painted in 1910 or 1911. Munch uses line, color, and balance to capture the radiance and all-encompassing effects of the rising sun over the rocky landscape. This brilliant sunrise bursts with joy and life. Edvard Munch is most commonly known as the man who painted the iconic Scream. In my reading, I found that people say that's one of the most identifiable paintings in the world, maybe second only to the Mona Lisa. And so most people know his work from that painting. And it's a much darker and, it's completely different from his work in the sun. And one thing that I found interesting is that he speaks about how he struggled with anxiety and he had some mental issues like all of his life. And he was actually hospitalized. They said for heavy drinking and like for having an emotional break. And after his recovery, and he came out and started painting again, and this is when he painted the sun. And so you can see that his work completely transformed and changed. He still kept things very simple. He still chose to focus on the expression and the emotion in a painting instead of complex forms. He uses a lot of line and negative space, and he creates this beautiful work that's very simple. Anyway, it was interesting to me to see the huge transformation that happened after he came out of the hospital. And he began painting landscapes a lot more later in his life, and he began using color in a way that he really hadn't before. One of the things I read said, he quite literally started to look on the brighter side of life, which you can see in some of his paintings. This painting evoked a powerful emotional response from me when I first saw it. I began studying Munch's work in my own attempts to paint my grief in losing my husband. And portraying complex emotions is what Munch was known for. He really simplified his paintings, and so the emotion and the expression just really came through almost more than any of the forms or the composition that he used. And a lot of his paintings speak to me. His work helped shape our understanding of the human experience and transformed the way emotion is visually expressed. The sun in this painting radiates life and light throughout the whole canvas. Everything swirls around it, but the sun remains steady and constant. Brushstrokes and mark making become the indicator of emotion. To me, the rising sun over the sea symbolizes joy. Our family lived near the beach, and it holds a million happy memories for me. And my husband was in the Air Force, and so we moved away from our beloved beach. And a few years later, he was killed in the line of duty. And when I think of my happy place, it's still those beaches where we spent so much time together. This brilliant sunrise reminds me of that when I see it.